The Alpha King's heir had been missing for 3 days. Rain hammered the ancient pines as King Demon Blackthorn tracked through mud, following the faint scent of his 4-year-old son. What he found in that clearing stopped his heart. His cub, small, fierce, protective, stood between the Alpha King and a trembling, blind Omega, snarling at his own father. "Don't hurt her!" the boy screamed, baby fangs bared. "She's mine!" The woman behind him, filthy, scarred, eyes clouded white, reached out with shaking hands. "Ash, no," she whispered. "It's okay. Let him come." But the cub wouldn't move, wouldn't yield. And in that moment, Demon understood. His son had found something in these woods worth dying for. 72 hours earlier, the palace had erupted in chaos. Prince Asher Blackthorn, heir to the Midnight Throne, had vanished from his bedchamber. Window open, sheets thrown back, tiny footprints leading to the forest edge. Demon had torn the kingdom apart searching. 500 wolves, helicopters, tracking hounds. Nothing. His second-in-command, Marcus, had suggested the worst. Kidnapping my king. Someone took him. Demon's mate, Lyanna, the elegant queen, had collapsed in hysterics. Our baby. Someone has our baby. But Demon knew his son. Asher was precocious, stubborn, and lately he'd been sneaking out at night. The question was, why? On the 3rd day, Demon went alone. No soldiers, no guards. Just him and the ancient forest where his bloodline had been born. Rain pounded, thunder cracked. His wolf senses sharpened. And there, faint beneath the storm, Asher's scent, mixed with something else, something sweet and broken. Omega. He followed the trail deeper, past the boundary stones, into the Forgotten Lands where exiles lived. And then he heard it. A child's voice, high and fierce. "I said no!" Demon burst through the trees. The clearing was small. A makeshift shelter, branches and moss. A dying fire smoking in the rain. And there, Asher stood in front of a woman, arms spread wide, 4-year-old body trembling with protective rage. The woman sat against a tree trunk. Thin, too thin. Clothes ragged, hair matted. But it was her eyes that froze Demon's blood. White, clouded, blind. She reached for Asher with shaking hands. "Ash, sweetheart, don't—" "No!" Asher's tiny growl was surprisingly vicious. "I won't let anyone hurt you. Not ever." Demon stepped forward, slowly. "Asher," he said, voice carefully controlled. "It's me. It's Dad." The boy's head whipped around. Recognition flashed, then defiance. "You'll take me away from her." "From who, son?" "From Alara. She's mine. She needs me." The woman, Alara, tilted her head, those blind eyes somehow finding him in the darkness. "Your Majesty," she whispered, voice like broken glass. She knew who he was, even blind, even starving. She knew. Demon crouched slowly, eye level with his son. "Asher, your mother is worried sick. The whole kingdom is searching for you. I don't care." Tears streamed down the boy's face. "Alara is alone. She can't see. She can't hunt. She'll die without me." Something cracked in Demon's chest. He looked at the woman. Really looked. Scars covered her arms. Old burns. Claw marks. The kind inflicted deliberately. She was Omega. He could smell it. The sweet, submissive scent that marked the weakest of their kind. But there was something else beneath it. Something familiar. "How long have you been helping her?" Demon asked his son gently. Asher sniffled. 2 weeks. I found her when I was exploring. She was hurt, bleeding. I brought her food from the kitchens. 2 weeks. His 4-year-old son had been sneaking out for 2 weeks to feed a blind exile. "Your Majesty," Alara said again, voice stronger now. "Please, take your son home. I never asked him to come. I told him to stay away. But you didn't make him stay away. I can't see my king. I can barely walk. How exactly would I force a royal child to leave? Bitter, angry, broken. Demon stood, made a decision. You're coming with us. Alara's head snapped up. What? Both of you, back to the palace. No. Flat, absolute. I won't go back there. I can't. That wasn't a request, Omega. She flinched at his alpha command, body going rigid with ingrained submission. But her voice stayed defiant. Then make it an order, Your Majesty. Drag me back in chains if you must. But I will not walk into that palace willingly. Why not? She laughed, harsh, hollow. Because the last time I was there, they threw me into the forest to die. The journey back was silent. Demon carried Alara. She'd collapsed the moment he touched her, body shutting down from the weeks of starvation. Asher walked beside them, small hand gripping her fingers, refusing to let go. It's okay, Alara, the boy whispered. Dad won't hurt you. I won't let him. The blind Omega said nothing, but tears slid silently down her scarred cheeks. When they reached the palace gates, chaos erupted. The prince! He's found the prince! Lyanna came running, beautiful, elegant, regal. She swept Asher into her arms. My baby, my precious baby. Where were you? Helping Alara. Asher squirmed. Let me go. I need to check on her. Lyanna's gaze landed on the woman in Demon's arms. Her expression transformed. Shock to disgust to fury. Her? The word dripped venom. What is she doing here? You know her, Demon said quietly. Not a question. Know her? Lyanna's laugh was cruel. That's Alara Ashwood, the blind beggar, the useless Omega we exiled 6 months ago. 6 months. Demon's wolf snarled. He'd been king for 6 months. Who ordered the exile? His voice dropped to lethal quiet. Lyanna lifted her chin. I did. She was wasting resources. Blind, broken, useless. Why keep dead weight? In Demon's arms, Alara made a small, broken sound. Dad? Asher's voice trembled. What does exile mean? It means, Demon said, eyes never leaving his mate's face, that your mother threw a blind woman into the forest alone. To starve. To die. Asher's face crumpled. He looked at his mother. Really looked. And then he did something shocking. He pulled away from her, walked to Alara, pressed his small body against her side. I hate you, he whispered to Lyanna. The queen's face went white. Asher, you hurt her. You tried to kill her. I hate you. Silence fell like a blade. Demon looked at his mate, the woman he'd bonded to, the mother of his child, and saw a stranger. Marcus, he called. Take the queen to her chambers. She's confined until further notice. Demon, Lyanna shrieked. You can't. I can. I am. And I will investigate every decision you made while I was away at war. His eyes glowed gold. Starting with this one. He carried Alara to the medical wing himself. The palace physician, Dr. Helena, gasped when she saw Alara. Severe malnutrition, dehydration, infected wounds. My king, she's dying. Fix it, Demon ordered. I'll try, but fix it. He stayed, refused to leave even when Asher fell asleep in a chair beside the bed. Watched as they hooked Ivy's cleaned wounds, wrapped bandages. And through it all, Alara never made a sound. Not when they stitched gashes. Not when they reset her broken fingers. She'd learned to suffer in silence. At dawn, Dr. Helena approached him. She'll live. Barely. But, my king, she hesitated. Her blindness. It's not natural. Demon's head snapped up. What? Wolf blindness is genetic. Born blind, we can sometimes heal with shifter magic. But her eyes... Helena's voice dropped. Someone did this to her. Deliberately. With silver. Silver. The one thing that could permanently scar a werewolf. Who? Demon's voice was barely human. I don't know, but I'll find out. Demon looked at the broken woman in the bed, at his son curled beside her, small hand holding hers. and made a vow. Someone would pay for this. Alara woke 3 days later. Demon was there. He'd barely left the medical wing. Her blind eyes opened, turned toward him with uncanny accuracy. "You're still here," she whispered. "Where else would I be?" "Anywhere. Everywhere. You're the king." She swallowed. "Where's Ash?" "Eating breakfast, under protest. He wanted to stay." A ghost of a smile touched her lips. "He's stubborn. He gets it from me." Demon pulled a chair close. "Tell me what happened, Alara. All of it." "Why?" Bitter, defensive. "So you can finish what your queen started? So I can make it right." She laughed, that broken, hollow sound. "There's no making this right, Your Majesty. Some things are beyond repair." "Try me." Silence stretched. Then, "I was palace staff, Omega servant, worked in the royal nursery." Her voice was distant. "I loved it. The children. The purpose. What changed? Your mate happened." The words were poison. "Leanna hated me from the moment she arrived. I don't know why. Maybe because the prince, your son, preferred me to her. Well, maybe because I was there first. Maybe just because she could." Demon's jaw tightened. "Go on." 6 months ago, she summoned me. Said I'd stolen from the royal treasury. A lie. But who believes in Omega over a queen? Alara's hands fisted in the sheets. She had her guards hold me down, poured liquid silver in my eyes while I screamed. Demon couldn't breathe. Then she had me dragged to the forest border, told the guards to leave me there, said if I ever came back, she'd do worse. You survived 6 months alone, blind, in the wilderness. Barely. I would have died weeks ago if... Her voice cracked. If your son hadn't found me. Asher. He brought food, water, talked to me, made me want to keep living. Tears slid down her scarred cheeks. A 4-year-old child saved me when the entire kingdom left me to rot. Demon stood abruptly, paced, rage burning through his veins. I was at war, he said hoarsely. The northern conflict. I was gone for 7 months. Lyanna ruled in my absence. I know. Everyone knew. She used your absence well. Who else did she hurt? Alara went very still. You really don't know, do you? Know what? Your Majesty. She took a shaky breath. Lyanna executed 17 Omegas while you were gone, called them traitors, had them killed publicly. 17. I would have been 18, but she wanted me to suffer first. Demon's wolf howled for blood. Why Omegas? Because we're weak, expendable, because she could. Alara's blind gaze found him again. Your mate is a monster, Your Majesty. Is, and you married her. The words hit like a physical blow, because they were true. Demon confronted Lyanna in her chambers that night. She sat at her vanity, beautiful and composed. 17 Omegas, Demon said quietly. You executed 17 of my people without trial. Lyanna didn't even look at him. They were traitors. What was their crime? Existing. She turned, eyes cold. Omegas are weak. They drain resources. The kingdom is stronger without them. And Alara? What was her crime? She looked at our son like he was hers. Lyanna's voice turned venomous. Asher loved her more than me, smiled at her, trusted her. I couldn't allow it. So you blinded her. I made her suffer. No remorse, no shame. Just like she made me suffer by stealing my son's affection. Demon stared at the woman he'd bonded to, beyond the mother of his child, and felt nothing but disgust. I'm annulling our bond. Lyanna's head snapped up. What? You're no longer my queen, no longer my mate. I will petition the council for dissolution. You can't. I can. Article 7, crimes against the pack. You tortured and murdered innocent wolves. His eyes glowed. You're lucky I don't execute you myself. Demon, you'll be exiled. Tonight. just like you did to Alara. Lyanna stood, fury twisting her beautiful features. You'd choose a blind Omega whore over your mate? The mother of your heir? I'm choosing justice, something you know nothing about. Fine. Her smile turned cruel. But don't think for a moment that broken thing will ever replace me. She's nothing. She's worth 1,000 of you. He turned and walked out. Guards escorted Lyanna to the border at midnight. The kingdom woke to a new dawn. Weeks passed. Alara healed slowly. Her body recovered. Her eyes did not. Demon gave her chambers in the royal wing. Servants. Anything she needed. She accepted it all with quiet dignity, never asking for more, never expecting less than exile. Asher refused to leave her side. She's mine, Dad, he said stubbornly. I found her. I saved her. She's mine. Demon understood, because he was starting to feel the same way. He visited her chambers every evening, talked to her, read to her. Slowly, she began to trust him. One night, he found her on the balcony, moon casting silver light across her scars. You didn't have to exile her, Alara said quietly. Not for me. I exiled her for the 17 Omegas she murdered. You were just the catalyst. Still, you lost your mate because of me. She was never truly my mate. Demon joined her at the railing. The bond was political, arranged. I never loved her. And Asher? He's happier now than I've ever seen him. He asks about you constantly, wants to know when you'll read to him again. Alara smiled. Real. Soft. He's a good boy. He learned that from you. She turned toward him, those blind eyes somehow finding his soul. Why are you really here, Your Majesty? Demon, he corrected. Just demon. Demon then. Why? He took her hand. Scarred, broken, beautiful. Because when I look at you, I see strength, courage, everything a true queen should be. Her breath caught. I'm blind, broken. Omega. You survived 6 months alone in the wilderness. You endured torture and exile. Well, you protected my son when I couldn't. He cupped her face gently. You're the strongest person I've ever met. Demon, I'm asking you to stay. Not as a guest, not as Asher's caretaker, as... He took a breath. As my mate. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You don't want me. You want to fix your guilt. I want you. I've wanted you since I found you in that clearing, protecting my son with nothing but your courage. He leaned forward, pressed his forehead to hers. I can't see you, she whispered. Then feel me. Feel this. He kissed her, gentle, reverent, and felt the bond snap into place. Not political, not arranged, real. When they pulled apart, Alara was smiling through tears. I can't be queen. I can't see. You see more than anyone I've ever known. You see hearts, souls, truth. He kissed her again. You'll be the greatest queen this kingdom has ever had. 6 months later. The coronation was unlike any in history. Alara stood before the kingdom in a gown of midnight blue, blind eyes forward, head high. Demon placed the crown on her head. My queen, he said. My mate. My love. The crowd roared. Asher stood beside them, small hand in Alara's. I told you she was mine, he whispered proudly. Alara laughed, free, joyful, whole. And I told you I was yours. She'd walked into those woods broken, blind, ready to die. She walked out a mother, a mate, a queen. Because sometimes the strongest bonds are forged in darkness, and sometimes the greatest love is found by those brave enough to protect the broken. A 4-year-old boy saw what an entire kingdom missed. That beneath the scars, the blindness, the broken body, was a heart worth fighting for. Alara lost her sight, but she gained a family, a kingdom, a love so fierce it rewrote the rules. True strength isn't what you can see. It's what you're willing to protect when everyone else looks away. What hit you hardest? Aesher protecting Alara? The Queen's betrayal? Demon choosing justice over his mate? Share your thoughts below. If this story moved you, like and subscribe for more tales of fierce love, protective cubs, and queens who rise from darkness.